Well, it could be. If it's not totally level, they'll build funny. So again, I'm not in the frame. Always out of the frame. It's probably good because then people can't actually see how homely I am.
How are you supposed to see it, this thing?
It's on backwards. You've got special needs. Here's my daughter with special needs, putting her veil on.
What do you mean?
You got it, turn it 180 degrees, the veil. There's a big wide square, that goes in front of your face. Little tiny square goes in the back.
But is this correct? This goes in my
Yeah,
face?
it goes over just like that.
But you still, okay, that's better.
Short bus beekeeper.
Uh,
All right, I hope I got that in, because that was hilarious. Okay, guys, so we're gonna check out my daughter's bees. She says they're vicious and that she can't deal with them. First thing I notice here is these vicious bees is this grass is in front of the entrance. You don't want to do that. You want to keep that kind of down out of the way. Weed whack it, whatever. I don't know if you can see that in the frame. So let's check these guys out, see what's going on here with these vicious bees. And they might be vicious. I brought my veil just in case they decide to eat me. Alright, oh man, looks like they're building comb all over the place. So, let me get this box out of the way. Easy there. Alright, I don't know what you got going on. Yeah, that's a mess. So, they're ready to move out of the bottom, and they're building comb all over this inner cover. So she threw some frames in there, but this isn't going to cut it. Okay, so there's a thing called bee space, and they're going to try to fill up anything that's bigger than a ½ inch in here, and all you got is space here.
That's what I told you.
Yeah, so that's not going to work. Get this out of the way. Why don't you put all the frames in?
I don't know, Dad. That's why I said I messed it up.
Okay, so let's get this mess out of the way. So that's the first thing wrong here. So get these. All right. So yeah, that's not gonna cut it.
All right, Dad. Don't make me feel dumb.
I'm not trying to make you feel dumb, honey. I should have come over and checked on this. Okay, so they're obviously ready to move from this lower section. They're aggressively building here, so they're doing well. Aggressive building usually is a sign that they've got plenty to eat and they're moving right along. They need more space. So I'm going to pop this frame out just to kind of get a bearing on what they're doing. But I'm going to tell you right now, these bees are hopping. They're doing really well. You want to do it, huh?
I want to take it out.
That'd be a pretty good guess that they are full of brood, capped brood in here. All right, you want to try it? Okay.
I'll go out.
Well,
What am I taking out?
I'd take this, and since I kind of broke that free, you can take it like that, kind of help it lift it, lay the edge, get it end up, and then you might want to use this on the other end. Go like this, okay? And just kind of, that's why I use those little bars. I like the big ones because I like to get some leverage.
Why are those coming out like that?
Because I'm fooling with their house. They're checking out what I'm doing. Alright, so I got it broke free. You want to pull it out? Pull it in slow motion. Remember, slow motion. So what you see going on here. They haven't built all the way over here. The big problem is all that space you have on top. They need to fill it. That's their nature. You know, I don't know if they told you in your little class about bee space. So that's full of nectar and pollen. Let me see here. So that's nectar and pollen going on in there. So I can get that on the camera. So, not brood. Throw this down here out of the way for now. Pull another one. this stuff we're gonna have to scrape off of here at the top of this here in
Really?
a second. Yeah. So what you should have done was when you put that other box on top,
Yeah.
you should have put all those frames in.
All of them in.
You have to put all the frames in. Otherwise, they're going to do what they've done here and just try to fill up the empty gaps. More nectar, no babies.
God, don't put them on.
Well, I should have, here, I'll set this. Alright, I'll throw these in here for now. Usually, I will put this box on top of the top. I'll lay the top there and I'll put the box on top of that because you don't really want to put them down in the grass. They end up falling in, getting lost in the grass. Just got Russian. It's a promise. You get Russian, you don't think about what you're doing. More nectar.
Wait, what's that? Wait, no, turn it back. What's all this?
That's all honey.
That is all capped like that?
That's capped honey. So stick your finger in there. Taste that.
I can't. I gotta think.
You got a veil on your face? Yeah. Look kind of hard to taste your honey with this veil on. That's your honey.
Yum.
Pure, unadulterated honey. So let me do this. Put this thing under here so I don't lose bees down in the grass. Alright, so there's capped brood. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a pile of capped brood. Look how full that is. So she's laying well. Your queen is laying well. And then we gotta be careful because when you get near the
Well,
capped
should I-
brood like that,
Yeah, they're gonna get me.
no, well that's a possibility. They're not as bad when they're capped, but you're gonna be getting close to the queen. She's gonna be in this region.
So what should I do with this, like, stuff that I'm taking off the top here?
Just scrape it off. You should save it, and then we'll melt it down and we'll make candles out of it.
Okay.
So here we got a bunch of capped brood. See if I can get this on the camera. You guys can see that. All kinds of capped brood there. Not a bad laying pattern. Could be fuller, but that's the first frame I found with capped brood. Yeah, that's quite a bit of that's full of larvae. You see it? Can you see all that? Use that. A better lighting.
Oh, I didn't even. I think I recorded. I hope I recorded.
Recorded? Take a picture.
No, I
All right,
didn't.
so I'm going to put this back. Again, you don't want to. Once you get into, when you find your brood,
Yeah.
stop fooling with it.
Well.
Because that's where the queen's going to be. She's going to be in that gazebo.
Okay.
And you want to put this back together the way you found it. I think this is correct. Because they generally have a good plan. So what we got to do here,
Well,
is this the
I'm
first one? This is the first one. All right.
trying to get all the wax off.
Yeah. Just pop this back in here. And we gotta scrape all this. I think they call it burr comb. So this burr comb that they put on the top,
Yeah.
that's all gotta come off of here. So we'll where's this one? We'll take your bar, your tool. Where's the tool I gave you?
In the thing.
The thing? The thing?
Like,
So it's in the garage. So it's real handy in the garage, isn't it? I told you.
you gave me this knife. You said
Okay,
this
yeah, I
is gonna
gave
be
you
a
the knife.
real nice tool. Oh, this is full of money.
Well, then take that. That's your honey now. Get off. That's our honey.
Hey, hey, hey.
Mine.
Don't be mean about it. Nope.
Keep it. Just chew it up. Chew up the wax.
Yum, it's all over. It's all on my knife.
Just a pile of burr honey there, or burr comb. Drop it in this top. That way, we throw it in the top. I don't know if you guys can see that on the video. down there. Just throw the burr comb in there, and then they'll crawl off of it and go back into the hive box. But we gotta get this burr comb off the top, and then we're gonna put those frames that we have in there. Now see, they're not liking me do that. See how they're coming after my hands? But they're not stinging me. Okay? They're not stinging me. They're just coming after whatever's bothering the house. So when you see activity like that,
Yeah.
they start getting active and not happy with you,
Yes.
stop. Just freeze. Okay? You just freeze. So there are just piles of burr comb on that. I'm gonna
See, Dad?
throw them down in there, and then they'll scatter around. They're not happy they got tossed there, but they're gonna go right back in. You can see them running in the front door. Somebody got me.
Someone got you?
Yeah, I didn't like what I was doing. He's still trying, but he doesn't have a stinger. He lifted my wrist. It can't get much more invasive than what I'm doing right now.
Is this already waxed, Dad? Yeah, this is already waxed.
Yeah, it's already waxed. So,
You want me to wait?
give him a second, because I got them all worked up. Take these frames that don't have any comb, any foundation in it,
Yeah.
pop that in there. I got a few more frames to scrape. I just don't care much for me doing that. Now on occasion, you'll smell that sweet bananas flavor
Yeah.
that I told you about.
Yeah.
I have not smelt it, but that doesn't mean they're not doing it. My or my senses aren't as attuned as they are. But by me pushing this burr comb around, I'm probably crunching a lot of bees. Right? So when you crunch bees, they don't like it. And that's why they're having an issue with me right now. But they're not laying into me. Right? You don't see 1,000 bees on my face.
No.
You just see I got hit in the wrist, and they kind of buzz me. They buzz my arm, my hands. But I mean, I can't get more invasive into their house than crunching their friends with a big old stick, or a bar in this case. All right. So that's it on the burr comb. Just knock all that in there. And I crunched a bunch of little bees doing that. So that's something you want to avoid having.
Killing my little lady.
Yeah. Okay. So let's put these frames in.
You might as well keep those.
Yeah, we'll leave that one in. So I like to use, I've tried every other method there is. I tried wire, I tried shoestrings, or not shoestrings, fishing line. These are a little shorter. Oh, that's good. But I found the best thing is just these plastic frames that have been coated with a little wax, and these aren't the tightest fitting things. I think the nail holes are probably dried out. All right, so they just pop in there just kind of like that. Not the best fit here. Usually when you build these, you glue them in, or take some wax and wax them in. I'm gonna wedge them in with a chunk of wax here, just like that for now. Otherwise they're just gonna fall out. Well, because I'm busy. So there, I just kind of wedged them in with a little chunk of wax to hold them in place. It's not always necessary. If I was at the house, I'd just use some Elmer's glue and glue them in because it's quicker. I've used wax and waxed them in, which is probably the best way to do it. But whatever it takes to get them in there wedged good and tight. And then they'll cover this all with propolis, and all this stuff will be glued together and waxed together well. You need 10 frames for this. Here's one that I had wire in, but didn't do a real good job of tightening that wire. I always have a hard time getting the wire tight. So, personal problem doing it. So, anyways, they started building this out. Yeah, these guys are doing well. They want more space. The house is getting too small, so they're building up. The space was an issue. Again, I hadn't really discussed these things with my daughter. She took a beginner's class, and I figured they covered that. They probably did, but you know, when you first hear it, it doesn't always stick. So I'm just taking chunks of this burr comb and I'm shoving it in here and wedging this frame foundation in. I'm not in the shop, so you just use what you have at hand.
You don't. Some of that comb.
Yeah, sure. You don't have to be too detailed on how you do this. These are going to build the house the way they want it. You just kind of have to try to manage what you'd like them to do, but they're going to do it their way. So don't get crazy about how much wax you put in there or anything else. You do want them as straight as you can get them in there, and you want this, primarily this box, as flat as possible. I'm pretty bad for doing that. If you don't get it flat this way and it leans a little bit, they're going to build their comb straight down, and it may not match the foundation you put in there. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Need 2 more.
And then 9. This is 9.
That's number 9. These, you know what? I didn't glue these together. And when you nail them together, you should glue them. Put a little Elmer's on there. I thought I'd use them before that. Oops. Look at that. I grabbed a chunk of wax covered with bees. Somebody didn't like that. All right. One more.
That will need a little bit of wax.
Wax them. All right. Everybody's got their own way of doing things, and I'm sure that somebody's shaking their head right now going, what a doofus. And you know what? You're right. Because I'm sure the way you do it's right. This is the way I'm doing it. So if you have a comment and you think that I'm doing it wrong, share it with me, and maybe I'll change my ways. All right, so we got that knocked out. No burr comb on here. So pop this over these guys. Try not to mash too many. Don't hold your breath about that though. All right, and I do like to try to line them up so they match the frames directly below them. So there's that. So we got all this burr comb here. Still, let me throw that tool. All right, I'm gonna scrape it off this inner cover. Now we don't want to throw this away because actually wax is worth more money than honey. Just FYI. So if you can save your wax, melt it down, you can get more per pound for wax than you can for the honey. So we'll throw this inner cover back on, and they'll burr comb that up still. That's done. You don't need this on here anymore. You need something to throw this wax in. Crunched up in it. So I guess we're gonna have.
Yeah, dude, we didn't spray any of that
What's that?
with sugar
Sugar
water.
water? No, we didn't. You don't necessarily have to. Just makes them take to it a little easier. So I crunched a bunch of bees, scraping off that burr comb. So you can see a few of them with their butts in the air here. These are ones that got thrown out of the house, so they're saying this is the way home. So, anyways, I won't sweat it too much because I'm gonna pop this lid back on. There we are. So this colony's doing really well. I don't think they're terrible mean bees. I've had mean bees. These aren't mean bees.
Put her in. Crunched her.
I crunched her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she probably won't like me. She's a baby bee. That's a young one.
Yeah?
She's covered in little hairs. Little hairs. I don't know. Camera probably won't pick up how fine her hairs are, but when they're all blonde and covered with fuzz when they're brand new babies, she probably can't fly yet.
We crunched her.
Okay. So it wasn't a terrible calamity.
Yeah. And this one should fur.
They're trying to get the honey off of that. There's bees on it. So it just the problem here was bee space. I didn't tell her. I haven't told her much, so can't blame her. I assume she knew that about the bee space and keeping everything tight. You don't want large gaps. They're going to fill it with comb.
Move that.
All right, pick it up. It wasn't bad. It was the bee space issue.
Probably about a week.
They should have in your beginner beekeeping class.
No one told me, yo, put all your frames in at once. Yo. No one said that.
Well, I'll tell you, your sugar water, you might want to put it in a, there's going to be some bees in there, but it's crunched up with a big pile of honey.